This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
It's that time of year again. Everyone knows that the holidays can become overwhelming quickly, so the sooner that you get things done, the better. For both shoppers and businesses, the best time to score great deals during the holidays is Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend. And that's why you need Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Allbirds and Cowboy e-bikes to entrepreneurs who will be participating in their very first Black Friday or Cyber Monday this year. Shopify has everything you need to succeed from start to finish. First, Shopify's marketing tools help push your brand to the forefront of the chaos, no matter what platform your customers are on. Then, Shopify helps draw customers in with the ease of a convenient checkout with Shop Pay, Shopify's expedited checkout that saves customers information and reduces hassle. The best part? Shop Pay has been proven to boost conversions, meaning you see less abandoned carts and more profits. You can also stress less knowing that Shopify's award-winning customer support team is on standby 24/7 to help with any issues that arise, allowing you to get back to business as fast as possible. This Black Friday, join thousands of new entrepreneurs hearing for the first time with Shopify. Sign up for your free trial today at shopify.com/income. That's shopify.com/income. Go to shopify.com/income and make this Black Friday one to remember.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Fafalius, producer of Chris DeMakes a Podcast. I'm here to get you all ready for this week's Throwback Thursday episode, which is actually one of my favorites. This week, we're throwing it back to March of 2023 when John Hampson of 9 Days sat in to discuss the writing and recording of Absolutely Story of a Girl. As usual, I'm going to do my best here to get you all in the right state of mind for the episode, and we'll do that by transporting you back in time to when Story of a Girl was everywhere. The song hit its Hot 100 peak in the US in July of the year 2000, so here's what else was going on when you couldn't escape this song. And here's what's weird. In all these intros that I've done, July of 2000 has got to be the most uneventful month I've ever tried to dig up facts on. There's a whole bunch of golf and tennis stuff. Coldplay released their debut album Parachutes. Garfield creator Jim Davis got married. I mean, as did figure skater Christy Yamaguchi, and Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston got married to each other this month. I mean, wouldn't it just be nice to go live in July 2000 again, just singing along to Story of a Girl on the radio, not constantly living through some big, consequential, terrible moment in history every day? July 2000, man. Just living in pure bliss. Just turn on the radio and hear all the songs that were popular at the same time as Story of a Girl. Bent by Matchbox 20, Vertical Horizon's Everything You Want, which we just recently did an episode of our show on. Go check out that episode if you didn't hear it. That was a really good one. Try Again from Aaliyah. Aaliyah was still alive in July of 2000, as if you needed yet another reason to go back to then. It's Gonna Be Me from NSYNC. The Real Slim Shady from Eminem. I Try from Macy Gray. Doesn't Really Matter from Janet Jackson. Oops, I Did It Again from Britney Spears. I mean, Chicken Run, Pokemon the Movie 2000, Big Mama's House, The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps, were all playing in theaters at that time. All right, you can all thank me later for transporting you back to a magical time, but we're going to start the episode now. From March 20th of 2023, this is episode 147 of Chris DeMakes a Podcast. John Hampson discusses 9 Days, Absolutely Story of a Girl.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her when she smiles.
Hey everyone, today's guest is John Hampson, rhythm guitarist and lead vocalist for the Long Island, New York rock band 9 Days. Together, we break down the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the breakout smash hit single, Absolutely, Story of a Girl, taken from their album from the year 2000, titled The Madding Crowd. John couldn't have been more down-to-earth and fun to talk to. He mentioned that the initial lyrics to the song flowed out of him in like 20 minutes, which had him racing to find a guitar to search for the chords to accompany the melodies already swirling in his head. He said the song was written about his then girlfriend at the time, the same girlfriend that John now calls his wife, all these years later. The easy part was writing the song. The hard part came when everyone else got involved, from management to label executives. John rose to the occasion each time, though, going so far as to playing the guitar solo in a pinch at the very last minute. And John had high praise for producer Nick DeDia, who took this poppy love song and gave it a sonic kick in the tail. Oh, and the song has legs. Just last year, it was featured in the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Pretty cool. So for all this and a whole lot more, stick around.
Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast.
John, how's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for sitting in. And I know that you are the first, are you a high school teacher?
I am, yes.
Yes, you're the first high school teacher slash rock star we've had on the show. So you're like a Clark Kent Superman, a mild-mannered teacher by day and a rock star at night. And I got a kick out of this because, I research these songs pretty well. I go all over the place, and I was on YouTube looking at the comments, and Chris, my producer, in my notes, he had put you're a teacher, you had at some point went back to school, got your degree, started a family, and I'd kind of forgotten about it, and I'm going through these comments like, he's my teacher, he's so cool, I can't believe he's in this video. That's so awesome, man.
It is, it's interesting, it's cool, and it's funny, I probably used to, well, not probably, I used to bring the guitar in more often and play, and after a while I just started, I used to say to the students, I'm like, guys, the world does not need any more videos of me playing Story of a Girl on my desk, so let's just keep them to yourself. So, but yeah, there's too many.
That is awesome. Well, you guys were formed in '94 in Long Island, and you released 3 independent albums in the '90s before your mainstream debut album, The Madding Crowd, which was released in 2000 on Epic Records. The single that we're going to talk about today, Absolutely, Story of a Girl, was released on March 21st, 2000. It preceded the album by almost 2 months. The album came out on May 16th of that year, and it was produced by Nick DeDia, who, did I pronounce that right? DeDia?
Yeah, that's it, DeDia. Yep, you got it.
DeDia. He's worked with many artists, including, he's kind of all over the place. I love this guy's resume. Bruce Springsteen, Rage Against the Machine, Anti-Flag, Ben Folds 5, Alice Cooper, Gaslight, Anthem, King's X, Mastodon. We've got a bunch of Chris DeMakes a Podcast alumni in there, but well-rounded producer. How'd you hook up with Nick?
So yeah, and by the way, you left out Pearl Jam.
I did leave out Pearl Jam. They're on here.
You gotta put them on there. It's a good. Listen, I gotta just start off by saying, like, I binged your podcast.
Oh man,
and it is freaking awesome. I have actually been excited for this all day. Just so you know,
thank you so much.
I was like, this is it, man. This is like really just digging into songs and production and songwriting. I'm so glad that, Chris brought me over to this, and you do a great job. So I'm a little nervous. I got to perform. I got to do well, but I love your podcast. Just want to say that. You can edit that out, but, just wanted to tell you.
That means the world to me. And you know what? However many 150 plus episodes, I still get nervous when I do these. It doesn't matter who it's with.
I'm sure.
I'm on pins and needles. I want to say the right things. I want to, mostly I want to give the artist, the guest that's on here, my full respect and appreciation of what they've created, because this has made me, and my audience knows this has made me think of songs in a whole different light. There's really not a song out there I can think of, songs that I even maybe thought I hated at one time, that if I were to break them down this way, they take on a whole new meaning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the list. I mean, the people that have done this podcast. My God, I was just like, holy cow, gotta listen to this. Anyway, it was great, and you do a great job. But anyway, now that I've buttered you up, no, I'm serious.
Well, no, I mean, how did you hook up with Nick? Because, there's so many producers, and here you are, you get signed to Epic, and I'm sure all these things are going through your mind, because I had read that you had released shopped a 3-song demo, and I think Absolutely was on that demo. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. Look, we're like such a stereotype cliche story. I mean, we were turned down by every single label at least once, and we did put out some records on our own, and we did demos nonstop, and we just kind of kept climbing a little higher, a little better, a little more traction each time. And so I guess to sort of address the Nick D'Adia thing first, that it's kind of an interesting story, and I've never. There's a few things I figured this time around I would talk about with this song that I've literally never talked about. And
that's awesome.
When we signed with Epic, we were actually on like a little subsidiary label of theirs called 550. And our A&R guy's name was Mio Vukovic. And if you are familiar with the Wilco story, Mio was the guy over at Reprise who was going to bring Wilco over. So, Mio signed the band, and we were talking about producers, and this is how I remember it. I really was racking my brain and saying, did I get this right? But for whatever reason, we were under the impression that Brendan O'Brien was producing our album. And Nick D'Adia is an amazing, by the way, engineer. He engineers a lot of Brendan's stuff, or did. So I knew Nick was involved, and I loved the sounds of the record, so I was psyched. And then it was one of those things where I don't know if we were ever officially told, no, Nick's the producer. It was kind of like we sort of found out along the way that, oh, all right, Brendan's just going to give us some of his gear, and we're going to go to Atlanta, and we did the record. And that is in no way to say that we were disappointed. It was just like we had struggled so long and to get to that point. You're not going to start questioning, things that, it was like, okay, well, Nick's awesome, and we know that record's going to sound great. And to be honest, we had produced all of our own stuff to that point. So we were not like dying for a producer, and Nick definitely helped us shape those songs, but he was really responsible for helping us capture the sound of the band, and he did a great job.
Yeah, the recording sounds real. That's the only way I could describe it. It doesn't. Was it done to Pro Tools or was it recorded to tape?
So this is another one. I had to really rack my brain. Nick, at the time, we did this 99. It was May and June into July of 99, and obviously Pro Tools was around. And I believe we tracked to tape, and then they dumped that to Pro Tools.
Okay. Okay.
But we recorded live the music. It was 100% live. We tracked as a band in that big room at Tree Studios in Atlanta. Everything was done like that. And then we would make a few fixes, and then we would move on to overdubs and vocals. But all, drums, bass, 2 guitars, and keys, whenever possible, were all tracked live.
I mean, you can tell. That's what I meant by it sounds real.
Yeah.
There's something honest about this. Chris Lord-Alge killed it with the mix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chris always does. Anything he touched, as long as the engineering and the sounds were there, he could make it sound good. But, this song is now, 23 years going on, 23 years here.
Yeah.
And it just, I've said this before so many times on the show, it only sounds dated because I know when it was released.
Right.
But it sounds great.
He did a great job. And another thing with the mix with this song, and I don't know how deep you want to get into this particular thing, but Chris Lord-Alge was the third guy to mix the song.
No kidding.
And, Nick D'Adia did a mix, which sounded great. It kind of matched the rest of the record. It was a little more raw. And then we had a guy who I'd gotten to be really good friends with, Brian Malouf, who was, I believe he was at RCA at the time, and he was an A&R guy that we were talking to for a while, and he just had a lot on his plate and, really couldn't sign the band. But we stayed really friendly, and Brian is an amazing engineer and mixer, and he mixed A Story of a Girl, he mixed So Far Away, and he mixed If I Am out in LA. Then after that, Chris Lord-Alge did a mix, and that was the one we went with for the single and on the album. And there's a good story behind that too. So,
well, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Don't stop yourself.
So, listen, Nick Diddy is amazing, and we tracked that song. We tracked "Story of a Girl," and I just didn't think the snare was right. I was like, the snare drum it's not right. And it became this, I wouldn't say it was a battle, because Nick was just the coolest guy in the world. Like, there was no really battling with him. But I swear to God, we were in that studio for about 8 weeks, and I'm pretty sure every single day of those 8 weeks, he'd go, hey, why don't you jump in and throw down Story of a Girl one more time, like singing. I sang that song about 4,000 or 5,000 times to get it right. And I kept saying, it's the snare. It's wrong. The vocal's not sitting right. It to me, it wasn't. I was struggling with it, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. But he was like, this is a great take. We're keeping this. We're keeping it. And I was like, okay. And I just kept singing it. And I was like, it just wasn't killing me. But everything else on the record was working great. And so I was a little bit kind of like, man, I know this is the single. I know this is the song, and I'm struggling here. I'm a terrible singer. Every singer probably goes through that. And so when Brian Malouf did the mix, Brian shined it up a little bit more, and I was like, okay, this is closer. And I really liked Brian's mix a lot, and I like Nick's mix as well. And I'm not playing politics. They were all good. I listened back to them recently, and I'm like, man, Nick's mix was great. But yeah. But I do remember still feeling like we just didn't quite have it. And I don't remember who convinced the label to spend the extra money and have Chris Lord-Alge do it, but he did. And I still have the CD that Chris burned and like FedExed over to my manager. And it was December 21st of 1999, because it's dated on there. And my manager called me up and played me the mix over the phone. And I knew. I was like, that is it. And I was so excited. I was like, that's it. And I'm sure Chris layered in some, little drum samples or whatever magic he did. But whatever he did, I just knew over the phone. I'm like, that's what I've been waiting to hear for months. And that became the mix.
I am so glad you expounded and said that, John, and I'll tell you why. Because, there's an old saying you've heard, oh, we'll fix it in the mix. Right. You do not want to hear that as a performer, ever, especially as a singer. You're not going to fix it in the mix. That means that we're going to either bury you or put some weird effect on you or get your bass player to sing it. We're going to do something. Right. And, the fact that you got this mix back, and Chris is a master of that, the way, and a lot of these mixers are, it's how their EQ is, how they equalize everything and where everything sits in the mix. And like you said, whatever he did, he maybe added something on top of that snare drum, another sample, another sound that when you heard it back, you're like, there's my vocal.
Yeah, exactly right. It worked. He's amazing. I love him.
Yeah. Because you're not as bad of a singer as you say you are, because I watched a bunch of live videos of this song. So I'm thinking, well, why was Nick, your producer, making you do it over and over again? It's because he was hearing the same thing you were hearing, I guess, but he didn't realize it.
Yeah, it could be that. It could also be that we all knew like that was the song, so it had to be right. And I guess he just figured, hey, we got an hour, go sing it another time. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a magic line, and I dutifully would go in there and lay it down. It wasn't terrible, but it was definitely like, man, this, I just thought it would be, I'd walk in, you do your magic and you're done. But that song was on the slate every day until we were done.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's songs that you don't think about. You lay it down in 2 seconds, that become the hit, and other times you have to labor over it a little bit, like in this case.
For sure.
You just never know. Well, the song was the lead-off single from the album. It was track 2 on the album. The song reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the U.S., and peaked in the top 10 in Canada and New Zealand, was all over MTV. And something really cool, the song's got legs, because the song was featured both in audio and in dialogue in the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once that was released last year, which is up for Best Picture at the Oscars this year. And you recorded multiple alternate versions of the song for the movie. How did that come about? And congratulations, by the way.
Oh, well, I mean, thank you. This is one of the coolest things I have ever been a part of. I'm a huge movie fan, film fan, and so like it was literally 2 years ago at this point where my publisher sent me an email and he was like, hey, there's this film, these directors want to use your song. And at the time, it was a little vague. There was something in there about wanting to change it up a little or be creative, but it wasn't me that was going to do it at first. And so it was A24 Pictures, which I had seen a bunch of their films, and I knew the directors from Swiss Army Man. So I was like, okay, these guys are legit. I love this film company. I'm in. Let's see where this goes. And then I just kept emailing my publisher, and I'm like, can you please nudge them again? I love films. I'd love to be involved creatively. And at a certain point, they said, yeah, here's what we want. And they sent me 2 scenes. And have you seen the film?
I have not seen the film. No, I'm gonna go check it out now for sure.
Yeah, it's a super unique, chaotic, emotional, amazing. There's nothing like it. It's impossible to really compare it to anything. So when you see it, just imagine trying to figure that out in like a little paragraph. That's all you get. Like, here's what the film's all about. And I was like, what in God's name? I don't even know how to describe it. So anyway, they sent me 2 scenes, and they asked me to rewrite basically the chorus of Story of a Girl to literally fit the scenes.
Oh, wow.
So if I tell you the lyrics to these rewrites, it is hysterical. One of them is a scene where she's the premise of the film is this woman, and I'll be super vague about it, but she's like sort of like jumping in and out of these different universes, right? I'll just say that much. And in one of these universes, she's a hibachi chef, and she's battling some other hibachi chef who literally has a raccoon on the top of his hibachi hat. So I have to write the lyrics. So I'm like, this is the story of a chef. Oh my God, I'm going to forget my own lyrics. But she'll cut you with hibachi knives, but I absolutely love her with every slice. That was sort of the little tag on there. So, it was funny, but when you see it in the film, it makes sense and you hear it. So I did 2 different scenes of that. They asked me for a 90s style power ballad version, which I also did. I recorded it from scratch.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looked so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her when she smiled.
And then the real kicker, the thing that really kind of blew me away was that one of the directors who wrote the film, the script, the whole reason this Story of a Girl got in there was because he had written some dialogue, and he used 2 lines from the song. Your clothes never wear as well the next day, and your hair never falls in quite the same way. And he wrote them, and he was like, that's not me. What is that? And he couldn't figure it out. And then when he realized, oh, it's that song, he was like, I'll change him later. And years go by, and he's like, I can't change him. So they kind of doubled down, brought it into the film. So when I got to see it in a theater and I watched the actor deliver those lines, I was like, this is amazing. It was very cool.
That is unreal. And I know the answer to this, but did you ever think 23 years ago that 23 years later you would have another pop from a song you wrote? And that's just amazing.
No,
I always tell people you never know.
I live by that. You never know. That's like, if you're a musician, you kind of have to live that way, right? You just never know. You got to hang in there and just keep doing what you do and hope that it comes around. And this was a truly unexpected thrill.
Well, it was unexpected to me because, it says recorded multiple alternate versions. I had no idea what that meant. And to completely go in and write the most ridiculous words to your hit song had to be crazy. You had that demo. One last thing before we jump into the song. You had the demo you had shopped to Epic.
Yeah.
I looked for a demo of this song online. I couldn't find one. Is there one for the song you could share with us?
Yeah, there's definitely. I'll share it with you. I actually love the demo, and the first label we almost signed to Columbia originally, and they actually wanted to just basically remix the demo.
You look in the mirror, so how do you choose? Clothes never wear as well the next day. Your hair never falls in quite the same way. You never seem to run out of things to say. This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she when she smiles.
I really do love the demo, and just to give a super quick background on it, the band came out of sort of this big bombastic late 80s, early 90s sound. I was in these other bands. And so with 9 Days, when it started, I was so determined to just like turn off distortion, just use like tube amps and clean sounds and acoustic guitars. And, that I just was so sick of like big giant guitars and, everything just being big. So we were layering in mandolins and, accordion and Hammond and, percussion. And so the original demo of Story of a Girl was sort of at the tail end of that, where we were just kind of getting back into some more guitar-oriented stuff. So the demo's a little cleaner. And I tell you one really cool thing about the demo, when you hear it, it's a totally different guitar solo. And Brian DeVoe, the guitar player, played this awesome, it was like this Ace Frehley kind of solo, this climbing up the neck, bending thing, and he just nailed it on the demo. So another good story, if you've got time to squeeze it in here. But
I love it. I always have time.
So did you read the Steve Gorman book, The Drummer for the Black Crowes, by any chance?
I did read the book. Yes, it's awesome.
I love that book, by the way. Yeah, so there's a story in there about how
he doesn't pull any punches.
No, not at all. I loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah. But there's a story in that book about how, and Hard to Handle, John Kalodner, that legendary A&R guy, heard the original guitar solo and was like, "That's not a hit song guitar solo." And Brendan O'Brien, back to Brendan, recorded the solo for that song when like everything was done. They just redid that solo, and and that was it, and it becomes this big hit. So I had no idea until I read this book only a few years ago, but going back 23 years, so Brian does the same solo on the album that's on the demo. Although he'll admit this too, the album version, for whatever reason, that magic that was on the demo just didn't quite click. We even talked about flying in the demo solo. We never did it, but I still loved his solo. And then Mio, our A&R guy, comes back when we're mixing, and we're going to master in New York. And he's like, I played this for John Kalodner. And John Kalodner said, this is a hit song, but it's not a hit song guitar solo. So I'm reading the book and I'm like, holy shit, like this is his MO.
Yeah, this is his
right?
line.
This is what he's got to do. I don't know. I blew my mind. I was like, I cannot believe this happened to somebody else. So we're in the studio in New York now. We're supposed to be mastering, and there's all this pressure to do a different solo. So you know how that is when somebody's like got you under the gun like that, all of a sudden you sometimes you fall apart and you're like, I got nothing.
Well, yeah, now you're second guessing yourself.
Everything.
Like, if this isn't it, well, what is it?
Right. We've been living with it for 2 years between the demo and the album. So, Brian's in there sweating, just trying his best to come up with something brilliant, and it's just not happening. And I'm starting to get calls from my manager like, hey, we've got so-and-so we can get over there. And I'm like, there's no way I'm pulling some random guy in here to play a guitar solo on my song. So as Brian was playing, I'm just like in my head, I'm like singing melodies. I'm just trying to find a way out of this. And I'm like, hey, Brian, just give me, can I take a shot at this? And I incorporated parts of what Brian was playing and just sort of tied it together with some melodic stuff. And everybody was like, that's great. Let's use that. And that's the solo that's actually on the album. But the John Kalodner thing, just reading that in the book, I could not believe that it had happened twice in the same exact way. I thought it was pretty funny.
That is awesome. Well, I got to tell you, you have absolutely paid your dues to have a hit single. Some people just get lucky and have it,
right?
But man, it was one thing after the other with this song.
Yeah.
So hats off to you, John. The song's 3 minutes and 11 seconds. And hey, don't bore us. Get to the chorus. It starts with the chorus. What more do you want here? Chorus 1 right off the top.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her when she smiles.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her when she smiles. True story?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. So I'm dating this girl at the time, and I'm like in my mid-20s, and she's a couple years younger than I am, and she was the first girl who made me sit down and was kind of like, listen, I'm not in here just to kind of hang out and have fun. Like I'm thinking long term. I'm looking for a ring. And I'm this mid-20s musician who's got no money and trying to, make it and I'm just thinking, this girl's out of her mind. But we were dating, and make a long story short, basically anytime one of her friends would get engaged, my weekend was ruined because it wasn't her. So that happened. I was at a gig. I was actually playing with Harvey Danger. Remember those guys?
Of course, yeah.
We're doing a gig with those guys, and somebody got engaged, and she was all pissed off at me, and she walked away. And it sounds very cheesy, but she walks to the other side of the venue, and she's talking to a couple girlfriends, and I'm watching her and kind of grinding my teeth, and I'm like, oh, I can't stand her. And then as I'm thinking that, she just laughs about something, and she's way on the other side of the room, and I literally think, I can't stand her, but I love her when she smiles. And the words just started coming, and the melody, that chorus was the first thing. That's why the song starts with it. It was the first thing that happened. I started singing that, and the words just came out. It came out really fast. All the easy stuff with the song happened in the beginning. I wrote most of it, probably within about 20, 25 minutes, most of the song was lyrically and melodically there. And then I didn't even have my guitar at the time, and I went over and I picked up the guitar. I was like kind of like pacing around, trying not to lose that moment. And I just picked up the guitar and started trying to figure out the chords that fit under that melody. That's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, there's some fun chords in this. I like what you did here. There's vocals on the first line with "This is the," and on the last line, "When she." It stops there, and it's just the vocals. And those two little spots there, that's a hook within this song every time that happens. And it happens a couple times. Sometimes you don't think of those things being hooks. It's got to be this big guitar hook, and you don't even mean to do it. But where you put those stops where it was just a vocal, it gets personal there. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, the whole band comes in for 4 bars. I call this part, John, the post-chorus jam. Drums, bass, stereo guitars. Was this a B3 organ?
Yep.
Hammond?
Yep.
Okay.
Real Hammond. Yep.
Real Hammond organ in there, and I'm hearing tambourine and, I believe, shakers in here.
There's definitely shakers in there. I feel like they're in the second verse more so, but I'm sure we threw that in there, yeah.
It's funny, and it's a Lord Alge trick, okay? Because I hear it somewhere else in the song where it's like, I know the tambourine's there, but you could barely hear it. In other parts, it's really loud. So yeah. I kind of think it's in there maybe the whole time. But after the post-chorus jam, we're into verse 1.
How many days in a year? She woke up with hope, but she only found tears. And I can be so insincere. Making a promise is never for real. As long as she stands there waiting. Wearing the holes in the soles of her shoes. How many days disappear? When you look in the mirror, it's the height of your shoes. Your clothes never wear.
How many days in a year? She woke up with hope, but she only found tears. And I can be so insincere, making her promises never for real. As long as she stands there waiting, wearing the holes in the soles of her shoes. How many days disappear? When you look in the mirror, so how do you choose?
Sounds so formal.
When I'm reading your own lyrics back at you, it's strange.
It's cool though. I think it's once you know the story, I think it's pretty literal. It's literally me, kind of. I don't want to say I'm stringing her along because listen, I don't know if I'm ruining the surprise here, but I did marry her. She is my wife. I didn't know if you knew that. I just realized that part. I probably should have mentioned that. So we did get married. So I guess now we could talk about it, and I don't have to feel like I'm a heel. But I knew that we had something, but I just, I wasn't ready to make that move. So the song, the first verse is me just saying, how many days in a year, she wakes up with hope thinking today's the day he's going to propose. Today's the day we're going out to this nice restaurant, or we're taking this little trip, and I just know. So, she'll get ready, maybe she buys an outfit or does her hair or gets her hair done or something, and she's in that mirror thinking today's the day, so I want to look good. And I know that makes her sound kind of, I don't want to say pathetic, but I don't, it's a song, these were things that were happening in our relationship. And this was just all came out in that moment. And I'm acknowledging, like, I am insincere, I'm saying, hang in there, and making promises, but at the same time, not really ready to deliver. So that's the lyric. And yeah, there you go.
No, that's great. This took an interesting twist because, you were kind of painting her in a different light at first. And she, now I realize she's your wife, and she had to go through a lot.
She did.
Because when this song was written about her, it wasn't what it became.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, your mid-20s, the guy that you want to spend the rest of your life with, he's on TV now.
Yeah.
You're going out to eat. He's getting recognized. And for a woman to stand by you, anybody to stand by anybody in that situation, that's really great.
Yeah, it was a rough time for a couple years. I mean, you went through it, when things kind of blow up, life just, it is like, in a way, it is like you see in the movies. Your whole life gets upended for a short while. And you got to hang in there and come out the other side.
I'm glad you said that. And again, it's something I haven't said in however many shows we've done so far. But my life just isn't my band anymore. And yours hasn't been for a while.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize who I was. For years I was Chris from Less Than Jake, and then you step back from it. I have kids now, I have a family, and, life takes on a different meaning. I love my band. It'll always be part of who I am, but there's so many other things I enjoy doing. Don't know if I could teach English. I'd probably put a kid's head through the chalkboard, but especially if you're teaching high school English.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing, but it is the only other thing that I ever imagined doing, believe it or not. It's just one of those things where back in high school, I remember my senior year, I had this fantastic English teacher for college reading, college prep, Mr. Kozira, if he's out there. And I just remember thinking, man, if I can't make it as a rock star, I want to do what this guy does. He's awesome. And so that's how that happened.
Well, that's awesome. Your students love you, and you're living both your dreams, which is great. Drums, bass, and another guitar joins in here with the shakers and the tambourines for verse 1. And these stereo guitars here, a lot of times your stereo guitars, John, they're locked. Completely. They're completely exactly the same. And then you have bands like the Stones and Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses where those guitars, AC/DC, are really playing off one another. And that's what's happening here. The guitar panned off left is kind of doing this chicka-chicka. And this guitar seems a little bit more playful than the one on the right, but the two guitars really breathe like this.
Yeah.
It's great. Was there attention paid to that when you did it? You didn't want them to be mirrored? Exactly the same?
Yeah, 100%. Brian's the other guitar player. We never played exactly the same thing. It was always, if there's going to be two guitars, there's got to be something happening between those two guitars. Sometimes I would be playing something arpeggiated, or he would. So he might play a more melodic part. But in this one, it's a little more, there's a syncopation that's kind of happening between the two guitars. And again, we did track live, and we wanted to keep that. We wanted to keep some energy, some raw energy in there. So yeah, it was totally purposeful.
I'll use the word again. It sounds real. It sounds like there's a band set up and someone captured exactly how they sound. It doesn't sound like some studio trickery here, and those guitars sound great. Pre-chorus 1 comes in.
How do you choose? Your clothes never wear as well the next day, and your hair never falls in quite the same way. You never seem to run out of things to say. This is the story.
Your clothes never wear as well the next day, and your hair never falls in quite the same way. You never seem to run out of things to say.
So those lines, it's funny, when I wrote them, growing up on Long Island, it's kind of like if you grow up in Jersey, it's Springsteen. If you grow up on Long Island, it's Billy Joel. And I grew up listening to Billy Joel, and I remember getting glass houses for Christmas when I was a kid and just played that album to death. And when I wrote those lines, I remember I was like, oh my God, that's the most Billy Joel thing I've ever written in my life. It just kind of came out. But it kind of goes back again to the idea that, you know, if she's expecting this wonderful day, right, and it doesn't happen, you know, everybody can relate to that. You know, you kind of get dressed up for something, and then when you come home later at the end of that night, as good as those clothes looked on you when you walked out of the house, you're kind of a mess when you come home, right? It doesn't, things are just sort of, you know, wrinkly, or your shirt's kind of half untucked or whatever it is. And that was sort of like the end of another disappointing day. It's just sort of painting that picture.
It almost sounds like this relationship shouldn't have worked, John, but it's panned out.
But see, that's why the kicker is I absolutely love her, you know? So at the end, through all of this, it does come back around.
If I am another waste of everything you dreamed of, I will let you down.
Hey, everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more with John Hampson coming up after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
As a raider scavenging a derelict world, you settle into an underground settlement. But now you must return to the surface, where arc machines roam. If you're brave enough, who knows what you might find? Arc Raiders, a multiplayer extraction adventure video game. Buy now for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Rated T for teen.
When you walk into a Burlington, you're walking into amazing prices and great gifts. That's main character energy. Because at Burlington, the holiday savings aren't the only things turning heads. Discover quality finds and perfect presents for everyone on your list, even those who are hard to shop for. Toys and jewelry to new beauty brands and styles, these gifts go seamlessly from our stores to under your tree. Seriously, with these savings, why shop anywhere else?
Burlington deals, brands, wow.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. From the creator of Homeland, Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys star in the new Netflix series, The Beast in Me, as ruthless rivals whose shared darkness will set them on a collision course with fatal consequences. The Beast in Me is a riveting psychological cat and mouse story about guilt, justice, and doubt. You will not want to miss this. The Beast in Me is now playing only on Netflix.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned. What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault, a new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Do you like to laugh, geek out on music, and learn all about that band or artist who had that one song back in the day, but then seemed to fall off the face of the earth? If so, you need to subscribe to One Hit Thunder. Together with an array of interesting and hilarious guests, we do a weekly dive into one-hit wonders like Eiffel 65's Blue, Krayshawn's Gucci Gucci, EMF's Unbelievable, Delamitri's Roll to Me, Los Del Rio's Macarena, Musical Youth's Pass the Dutchie, and even Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind. So are you subscribed to One Hit Thunder or what? As Desiree would say, you gotta be. And as K7 would encourage, you gotta come, baby, come and join in on the fun of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come, come. Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come.
And now, back to the show.
Well, in pre-chorus 1, drums, bass, stereo guitars, and a buried arpeggiated guitar noodle kind of panned off right. And there's a keyboard playing a lick panned off left, and the shakers are present here too. Love what that keyboard's doing in this pre-chorus 1. Interestingly enough, later in the song, pre-chorus 2, I swear this keyboard thing is louder. And that, again, is a Lord Alge thing. He'll mix stuff up a little bit louder, and I think that's what's going on there. For some reason, I can just hear it better the second time around, but that part is great. And then we get right in to chorus 2.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her when she smiles.
Right from pre-chorus 1, we get into chorus number 2, which is the same lyrics as the top of the song: drums, bass, stereo guitars, tambourine, and shakers. And John, if there is any keyboards here, they're buried under the guitars. Do you recall if there's keyboards in this chorus?
You know, I don't think there is, and it's kind of funny. And arrangement-wise, this song is kind of unique in that you'd imagine when you get to the chorus, the intensity and that wall of sound is going to build.
Yes.
But the harmony comes in really loud. You got that tambourine going there, and there really aren't keyboards in the chorus.
I couldn't hear them, and that's to your point. That's what made me go, wait a second. This is where the big, organ keyboard pad should come in, and they're not there.
Yeah, and I don't remember that ever being a decision. You know, I'm sure it was. We were super meticulous in rehearsals. Like we, as a band, I mean, we were playing 4 or 5 nights a week for years. And that's every week. And then when we weren't playing at night, we were rehearsing at the studio we'd rent out. I remember every Tuesday, Thursday, we'd go from 12 to 4 and we would just work on new songs and as a band. And so, I mean, we were tight and we really kind of gave each other a hard time about parts. It had to be right. So at some point we must have decided, hey, Jeremy, our keyboard player, like, just don't play in the chorus. I just don't remember doing it, but yeah.
Well, I don't think you need it because of exactly what you said. This is the first time that we get harmonies in the song. Mm-hmm. And there's a harmony on every line here. Again, this is at the top, just vocals only, but there is a harmony there. And then when she smiles, that's vocals only again, much like the top of the song. And then we get that post-chorus jam again for 4 bars after chorus 2, and then we get into verse 2. And I gotta ask, was the demo lyrically or arrangement wise any different?
No, really, it's sonically different. And there are some. The difference is that on the demo, and I'm not sure why we did this, but instead of Jeremy's playing like a distorted Wurlitzer in the verses and stuff, mm-hmm. and we actually tried out like this synthesizer kind of sound on the demo. But arrangement-wise, it's the same
And the reason I ask that mostly is when we get to the fourth chorus at the very end of the song, it really changes up there.
Yeah.
That's the only time the chorus really changes, and I figured maybe that was in the studio going, you know what, we should branch out here, but it's interesting to hear that was the same thing on the demo. Verse 2.
How many lovers would stay just to put up with this every day and all day? How do we wind up this way? Watching our mouths for the words that we say. As long as we stand here waiting, wearing the clothes of the souls that we choose. How do we get there today when we're walking too far for the price of our shoes? Your clothes never wear us.
Now, how many lovers would stay just to put up with this every day and all day? How did we end up this way? Watching our mouths for the words that we say. As long as we stand here waiting, wearing the clothes of the souls that we choose. How do we get there today when we're walking too far for the price of our shoes?
Those sound pretty good. Who wrote that?
It's very poetic.
Well, I was definitely trying, that's for sure. So this is an interesting verse because I hate the word lover. And I struggled with what else I could put there. And it just worked, but I've never called someone my lover. I can't imagine. I know people do. I just couldn't. And you know what gave me permission in my own head was Neil Young, the song Birds. I don't know if you know this off after the Gold Rush, and he says, "Lover, there will be another." I was like, all right, if Neil Young can use lover, I think I'm okay.
Lover, there will be another one who'll hover over you beneath the sun.
But I that was a rough one for me. And also, it's funny, the lyric sheet that you have is the single lyric. The actual lyric is just to put up with this shit day after day. And there was another trick I fell for where during the mix, Epic was like, hey, can you just give us a clean version for, commercials or whatever? Because I always thought they just bleep that word out or duck it. I thought that's what they would do. They used to do that a lot. Right. So, and that's what I would have preferred, to be honest, was just kind of duck that word. But I came up with that as an alternate line, and that's the one that went out there. But it's not a big deal. But, it's again, it's like watching our mouths for the words, just being careful, like when you're in a relationship, you want to be respectful, but maybe you don't want to start feeling like you have to watch everything you say. That's not a great place to be. And then, again, in the first verse, I talk about soles of shoes, and now it's the wearing the clothes of the souls that we choose. So it's definitely playing on that word soul, and just sort of like, who am I? These clothes I'm wearing is like, I'm this musician. This is my life. This is what I'm choosing. And I have to sort of answer to that. And I have to honor that and still honor her and try to figure out how to make everything work. So that's where walking too far for the price of our shoes. It's kind of like, are we built to last? Can we kind of get through this? And the thing I guess to remember too, as I'm writing this is really, it's not stream of consciousness at all, but it's real. It's real of the moment. That's what I was feeling at that particular moment. I didn't labor too much over these, other than that word lover. The words just kind of came pretty fast. So it is capturing a moment for sure.
I love what you said about the label saying, hey, just for commercials, just redo this line. Yep. Because I'll tell you something, if you ever had that happen to you again, you'd know exactly what they were doing. Because I had that happen once. Yep. And once it happened, I talked about this recently on the show. I can't remember with who, but you have that happen once and you have what happened to you happen. It'll never happen again.
No, you learn. You learn too late, but you learn.
Absolutely. Well, interesting. Verse 2 here. There's a harmony on pretty much everything here. Yeah. You get out of that chorus and it just keeps going, except for the line right in the middle. As long as we stand here waiting, the lead vocals go up a register there. It's got some hair on that line.
Yeah, for sure.
A little angst on that one. The shakers are here. This is the part where I think the tamborine's there, but it's really buried. Drums, bass, stereo guitars are in, and a guitar panned off left and a guitar panned off right. Both of these are doing this staccato, rigid type lick. And it just really makes the verse move here. And there's a cool keyboard part panned off left that sounds like something out of a space movie. That sound is really cool. I don't know what that is. It's a really cool sound though.
Yeah, that's a whirly through, I'm sure, Brendan O'Brien, we used a lot of his equipment, and he has such amazing vintage amps and guitars and Wurlitzers, Hammond, everything. So that was a whirly through some sort of old amp, tube amp, that we just kind of distorted out a bit. And I love that part.
It's a really, I was trying to think if I've ever heard it. I'm putting it up against like funk records, disco records, like things like that would have keyboards, rock records. I can't think of another sound like it. It's really unique.
That's cool. Yeah, it's just part of what we did for so long. To me, we used that sound, maybe not exact, but that idea of a sound we used quite a bit. So, that distorted whirlies on a bunch of other songs on the album. And the guitars you were talking about, that's one thing that's different on the demo. The second verse, I always wanted it to be like, and I think this was a Nick DiDia word, but it should be an event, is I think what he used to call these things. So on the original demo, instead of doubling the bigger chunky guitars, one dropped out completely, and that like staccato thing took its place along with a shaker and stuff. And I just wanted that second verse to be differentiated from the first verse, to have a sonically, like all of a sudden a different sonic palette there. And when we did it with Nick, the song definitely got amped up in general. So to take it down that far didn't work. So we kept, the two guitars in and just sort of layered that on top.
No, it's awesome, and it totally differentiates those parts. I mean, it still has the essence. It sounds like verse one, but it's completely different because of the instrumentation. I really love it. I also love that all the harmonies in verse two here are all the higher harmony to your lead vocal, except for the line, wearing the clothes or the souls that we choose. There's a great lower harmony on that one line only. It's great.
Wearing the clothes of the souls that we choose. How do we get there today?
Yeah, it drops down an octave. Instead of singing the higher harmony, it's this low octave thing. I remember doing that. So funny. Until you said it, I completely forgot that was there. But yeah, that is there.
Yeah. Now, do you recall if that was on the demo, or was that something you were playing with in the studio? It really stuck out to me because the rest of it, the harmony's all higher than the melody, and there it goes lower. It was like, whoa, what is that? It's great.
Yeah, you know what? I don't remember if it's on the demo. I feel like it might have been, because again, on the demo, things were definitely cleaner. And because that second guitar dropped out, that line might have sounded kind of naked. So maybe we did put it on the demo. I'll have to actually listen to that myself. I don't remember if that's on the demo or not. I feel like it. I think it is. If I had to bet, I'd say it is, but I'm not positive.
As long as we stand here waiting, wearing the clothes of the souls that we choose. How do we get there today?
Well, pre-chorus 2 is next. The same lyrics, except for the last line. You stick in a but there, but you never seem to run out of things to say. And was that just one of the vocal takes you did and the but ended up being there, or was that on purpose?
I'm sure it was on purpose. I definitely, as a writer and arranger of songs, I'm very aware that I don't want to just keep repeating. There has to be some change, some other little bit of information or a lyric or a part that keeps you along for the ride. And melodically, that second pre-chorus jumps up too. The intensity is different. So I don't remember specifically with that word, but it's definitely something that I do in general. So I'm sure that was there very purposefully.
Your clothes never wear as well the next day, and your hair never falls in quite the same way, but you never seem to run out of things to say. This is the
right. Yeah. If I'm going to stick a word like that, and it's pretty much for the same reason you laid out. I want it to be just a little bit different, but not change what the meaning is. And here it doesn't change because you only added in one word. Well, we get into chorus 3.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad and lonely there, I absolutely love her when she smiles.
This is the Again, the vocals are naked there. I'm calling that an awesome hook that you guys probably never even thought of as being a hook. It's great. And then on the last line, when she. Everything here, again, there's harmonies throughout the whole chorus. Same instrumentation as chorus 2 pretty much. And then we get in to the musical bridge here of the song. What I love here at the end, when she smiles, the melody and the harmony notes change on Smiles.
Yeah.
When the band goes to that E minor 7th for this bridge part. It's really cool. And this goes on for 8 bars, drums, bass, stereo guitars, and a funky keyboard solo panned off left, and the tambourine is nice and loud. This is followed by a guitar swell and a lone tom hit with some good reverb on that. Sounds really big. To take us into the guitar solo for 16 bars, the guitar solo that John played.
Yeah.
When she smiles.
How did that sit with your band member? You know, he's the guitar player, and you know, I have no problems handing my guitar off. You know, my bass player could play something better than me, and I played this lick for a half hour. It's like, you can play it cleaner, play it.
Right.
I'll figure it out live. But was that okay? Is that how your band works?
Yeah, I think for the most part. I mean, you know, I was sitting there the whole time and feeling for Brian, because it was just one of those things where, you know, look, sometimes you catch that lightning in a bottle moment when you're under pressure, but sometimes, you know, it just, you're so used to, he'd been playing the same guitar solo, like I said, for probably 2 years at that point, or at least a full year. So to suddenly switch gears while in the studio, in this really, you know, sterile environment where there's people like calling, and, you know, your A&R guys telling you it's not a hit song guitar solo, it's, you know, it's challenging to perform under that kind of pressure. And I don't think Brian was too upset with it. I think he was probably, you know, just grateful that we got through it without having to bring some ringer in. And the funny thing is, Brian's played that song live ever since, the solo, but we did a re-record a few years back, and we had to go back, and now I'm the guy who played the solo, and I'm saying, no, this is how for the first time in like 16 years, I'm going, wait a minute, we're in the studio now, and I'm going, well, that's not what I played on the album version. And he's like, this is what you played. I'm like, no, it isn't. So I played what I played on the original album version, and everybody was scratching their heads like, that's it? I'm like, yeah, I swear to God. And it was like a huge argument in the studio. They're like, that's not what I heard. I'm like, that's what I played. That was pretty funny.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out like that. And I've had a sense of relief, John, where I've played something on the demo or played a part, and I'm convinced that's what the part is.
Yeah.
And then finally you're tracking it, and I almost sit back and wonder, wait a second, were they you know, kind of conspiring behind my back? Because all of a sudden it seems as everyone in the band all at once be like, yeah, the solo's not kind of working.
Right.
Like, wait a second, I've been playing this in rehearsal for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And then, you know, somebody else be like, well, this is what I hear. And they'll, at that point, they can play something else because they haven't been playing the same. I could see where Brian was at. He was like, well, what else is it going to be?
Yeah.
You got John Colodra calling, you got the A&R guy, you know, all those things.
And to this day, I like the solo Brian played a lot. I would have been thrilled if it was on the record the way he played it. But again, it was one of those things where we were not in a position to argue it. It just, we just had no choice. So, you know, there it goes.
Yeah. Well, the guitar solo is for 16 bars. The organ is back in with the drums, bass. The bass is super funky, and there's some really cool note choices here. Stereo guitars, tambourine, and shakers. And this is the verse chord progression here underneath the solo, which sets up perfectly for pre-chorus 3. And you mentioned a moment ago, John, that pre-chorus 2 kind of goes up. I don't know if it does. Pre-chorus 3 definitely goes up here on the first 2 lines.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, your clothes never wear as well the next day, and your hair never falls in quite the same way. You never seem to run out of things to say. This is the story of a
Well, your clothes never wear as well the next day. There's a well in there that you don't get on the other lines. All the other lyrics are exactly the same, but the melody is up on those first two lines. And then right at the end, there's a cool bass throw that happens over "This is the Story of a Girl." It's basically the reintro here, what I'm calling chorus 4. It's just a hi-hat panned off left and that single guitar panned off left. The lyrics are exactly the same, except there's no "when she smiles" at the end.
Yeah. This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her. This is the story of a girl.
It just repeats into the next part, which the lyrics here, we get a lyric change. And this is why I asked you earlier about the demo, figuring maybe the chorus was just the same here. And like, oh, now, you're in the studio, you're recording it for real, we have to change it. But you're saying you remember the demo being like this as well.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And this is, again, this song was very formed. It was there, and we get to the chorus. This is the fourth time you're hearing the chorus, so there is no way that I can just repeat the same thing, right? I mean, at that point, you'd be like, I already heard this 3 times. I'm turning the song off, right? I'm done. So I toyed with a couple of different lyrics there, and I also, it's a short chorus, really, if you think about it. I mean, I don't even know how many seconds it is, but it's pretty darn short. So I knew I was gonna lengthen it, double it, and it's sort of like a double and a half, I think.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely changed the lyric. And just to throw this out there, the second chorus, believe it or not, there is a change there, too. Instead of saying she looks so sad in photographs, well, let's call it the third chorus, actually, I say she looks so sad and lonely there.
You're right. I have that written here, and I left that out. Yes, good catch, John. Good catch.
Yeah. So then now get to fourth chorus, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to build to it, and I go with, she looks so sad in photographs, and then it's instead of story of a girl, cried a river and drowned the whole world, it's her pretty face she hid from the world.
This is the story of a girl, her pretty face she hid from the world. And while she looks so sad and lonely there, I absolutely love her. This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her. When she smiles, when she smiles.
So I definitely was super cognizant of changing those lyrics to give you something new, to get the story one step further down and say something else about the girl in the story. Her pretty face she hid from the world. And then there's that little vocal hiccup. This is the story of a girl. Yeah. So that... I'll tell you right now, when I came up with that moment, that is the moment where I went, holy shit, this is a hit. That's the first time. I never thought like that. We really were, believe it or not, we were a rock band. We didn't think about radio. We didn't think about hits. But this song just came out, and I remember that moment when I came up with that, just like that little pause, and I was like, holy cow, that is going to make everybody have to get to the end of this song, because you want to hear that moment. And that's when I felt like I was done. I felt like I did it. The song is complete.
That's really interesting, and we're going to get to that in 1 second. And a couple things here. We get that last chorus. It's just like the intro, but you get "know when she smiles." And the next part that you were just referencing, this is the story of a girl with a new lyric here. A pretty face she hid from the world. And while she looks so sad and lonely there, I absolutely love her. There's no "when she smiles" there. But on the next part, when we go back to the actual, the same chorus that was earlier in the tune, the back half, you get "when she smiles" twice. That hiccup you're talking about, you can't probably see in my notes here, but I wrote vocal hiccup. That was the
that's great.
That was the exact term that I used there.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world.
What was it about that vocal hiccup that made you think that was a hook, that people were going to want to hear that?
I don't know. It happened. It was intuitive. And, the song has a syncopation to it. It has a rhythm. Like it definitely, you're moving when you hear it between the drums and the guitars and even the sort of meter and the rhythm of the vocal. So that just felt very natural when it happened. And, I wasn't sitting there going, I need to do this. It just kind of happened. But I was like, oh my God, that's it. Like that's the thing.
Because I've done clever tricks like that before in the studio. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll put a pause there and it'll be a little hiccup. And everyone's looking at me going, no, stop doing that,
Right.
And there's other times where I've done it by accident. And then I'm like, oh, I got to redo that part. Like, why? I'm like, oh, I did a hiccup. They're like, no, that was great, that pause. Right. So you never know when those things are going to come into play. But how did the band feel about that? How did Nick feel about that?
With Nick Didia, all he really wanted to change in the song was just to make it a little sonically more aggressive and rock, and he did, and it was the right choice. I mean, it came out amazing. But the arrangement was, like I said, it was there. There's really no difference in the structure of the song from almost probably almost literally the very beginning. And when I wrote the song, I went home that night and I used to have I don't know if you Tascam 388, that big 1/4-inch 8-track. You ever seen one of those things? That's what I had. That's what I was recording demos on, and I would use a drum machine. And I tracked the song, just the music. And I remember Brian came over to pick me up to go to rehearsal or something, and I had it on a cassette, and I popped the cassette in the tape deck to just the music, and I was like, just listen to this. And I sang along in the car, and he was like, I don't know if he said that was a hit, but he was like, that's a great song. And when we got to rehearsal, I never did this before, but we got to rehearsal and I basically showed the band the song. Everybody kind of came up with their thing, but here's the song, here's the arrangement. And we played it for probably 2 hours until the band had it nailed. I wasn't singing though. I was like, I'm not singing a word of this song until we can play it, because I want you to hear it for the first time as a finished thing. So we went through it, and when the band could nail it from start to finish with just the music, I was like, okay, I'll sing it now. And I couldn't even look at them. I was just kind of like, they're gonna laugh. This is so pop. This is such like a cheesy pop song. And I started the song, we played the whole thing, and I remember everybody just kind of busted out laughing, like, oh my God, like that's great, like this is great. And it was a great feeling, but I'd never done that before, and I just kind of knew there was something a little special about it, and I wanted them to hear it for the first time, fully realized. So that was a fun little trick.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. Well, the song ends with a full chorus, just as you hear it right at the top of the song, and it ends with "When She Smiles" twice. The first "When She Smiles" is harmonized like all the rest of the lyrics here. Get that vocal pause on "I Absolutely Love Her." There's this great snare fill that happens there. It's a really cool pocketed snare before the "When She Smiles" lines that happen twice. On the last "When She Smiles," there's no harmony, but it's sung with conviction again, like that line with no harmony on verse 2, where you kind of just let loose there. It's the same kind of feeling. And the band ends with the stereo guitars and the organ. They're really noticeable on the fade out as it kind of just all goes away. And, after all the trials and tribulations you went through with this song, when all was said and done, and you got that mix back from Chris Lord-Alge, that was the proof in the pudding right there. Everything sounded perfect to you, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was the final piece to making that the thing that it needed to be, for sure.
Well, that's great. I want to thank you for sitting in. I want to thank you for going through this. And I mean, this is a personal song. It's about your wife, but it's right. Something that, again, you probably never in a million years thought that something you were just writing from the heart, that was going to be your breakout hit.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it really okay for me, is it wasn't planned. It wasn't formulated. I didn't sit down and say, I got to try to write a hit. It really just came from a moment of pure inspiration, and that makes it sit a lot easier for me. I think had it been a hit that I was like, didn't have any kind of real personal attachment to, it might feel a little kind of shallow or light. But this one, it feels pretty good.
Well, I'm definitely going to go check out Everything Everywhere All at Once now. I want to see what you did there. My curiosity is definitely piqued. And again, congratulations with all your continued success. Congratulations with being a favorite to your students. Those comments were so cool to see. They obviously love you. And what would you like to leave everybody with? What do you got coming up with the band? Anything exciting, or it could be about your English teaching? What do you got?
Yeah, we're reading Catcher in the Rye. No, that is exciting. But I am actually embarking on a solo. I don't even like to call it that, but like a lot of musicians, I wrote a ton of songs over, from that quarantine period up until now. Songs just kept pouring out, and I'm playing shows and I'm recording with a different group of guys, and this is very much like my own thing that I'm just excited for. Everybody always thinks that whatever they're doing recently is their best work, and I'm never going to write another story of a girl, and that's totally cool. But I still feel like I have something to offer as a writer, so I'm excited to get the songs out there.
That's awesome. What a humble and great attitude. And I'll tell you, not many people get a story of a girl. They don't. I'm blessed. Yes, thank you. Very cool. Thanks so much, John. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I love doing it. I really appreciate you having me.
Hard to see past the window, facing forward, looking back. Over years spent tracing, wondering how you left your track. Underwater breathing, burns your lungs and breaks your back. But you could be waiting right here.
Hey, I hope you all enjoyed that conversation with John Hampson. Man, that was a good one. I can't wait to talk about it with Chris in our rap segment, which is coming up after a few words from our sponsors.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
What I bought? A new Blink Mini 2K Plus smart security camera. What I got? 2K clarity sharp enough to see every detail of home when I'm away. Plus audio like I'm in the room, not with my bestie traveling to another city. Plus easy plug-in setup to install faster than skipping through podcast ads. But you'd never skip ads, right? Plus, I got all of this for just $49.99. Blink Mini 2K Plus. Mini camera, max performance. Shop now at amazon.com/blink.
It's okay not to be perfect with finances. Experian is your big financial friend and here to help. Did you know you can get matched with credit cards on the app? Some cards are labeled no ding decline, which means if you're not approved, they won't hurt your credit scores. Download the Experian app for free today. Applying for no ding decline cards won't hurt your credit scores if you aren't initially approved. Initial approval will result in a hard inquiry, which may impact your credit scores.
Experian. Did you know you lose 91 days a year to scrolling? That's your entire summer gone. So this summer, log off and show up with friends and some ice-cold Heinekens. Then instead of commenting on your crew's stories, he'll be making memories with them. Sorry, social media. The scrolling ends and the fun begins with cold Heinekens and good friends. Heineken, social networking since 1873. Available at your local Heineken retailer or for delivery at Heineken.com. Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Black Friday deals are going on all month long. Shop up to 45% off with minimum purchase, plus a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, all you have to do is email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumighttnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is the Wellingtons, all the way from the wonderful country of Australia, featuring Zach Anthony on guitar and vocals, Kate Goldsby on bass guitar and vocals, Koji Asano on guitar and vocals, Anna Dobbin on keyboards, and David Kleinjans on the drums. Their latest album is called End of the Summer. Here's a snippet of their song, Over and Done With.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
So, Chris, I think John was one of the best guests we've ever had. I'm not exaggerating. I love that guy.
Well, I certainly don't want to hurt any past guests' feelings, but I will say he's one of the nicest guests, maybe top 3. What a nice guy. Awesome.
Yeah, he's great. Hey, do you know how I originally got to know him, got in touch with him? Have I told you this?
Well, no, I mean, I know he was on One Hit Thunder, your other podcast, but I didn't know how you hooked up.
Well, we did an episode, I think in the first year of doing One Hit Thunder, we did an episode about Absolutely Story of a Girl. And he listened to that episode, and then he went on Twitter and he wrote a series of tweets to us like, hey, listen to the episode. It was great, but here's a couple things you got wrong, and like corrected us on some little things, was real nice about it. So then Matt Kelly, who produces One Hit Thunder, he kept in touch with him. And then, just recently we had him on One Hit Thunder as well. And we're just like, oh my God, this is such a great guy. And, it feels good to know that someone you're doing an episode about. I mean, with One Hit Thunder, we never think that the artists are going to listen to the podcast we're making about them, really. But then on top of that, after we finished the One Hit Thunder episode, I was like, hey, John, I actually produced this podcast. Chris DeMakes a podcast. Next thing you know, he binged through our catalog and he's on our podcast. And man, when he said those nice things about our show, it really made me feel good.
It made me feel good too, because, it doesn't get much more humble than John. And here, he said he always wanted to be an English teacher. Yet he had this passion for music. He had this hit. His band goes through the stratosphere. And, at some point, he decides to go back to school, get an English degree. And the woman he wrote this song about ends up being his wife, who he decides to start a family with, and then he comes back to his music, so he's living the dream. He's doing everything he set out to do.
I mean, on top of that, his song that is from 23 years ago is now in, well, Chris, we actually, by the time this is coming out, we'll know if it won Best Picture. I believe that Everything Everywhere All at Once should win Best Picture. I've seen like 5 of the 10 nominees, but it's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life, and I'm not just saying that. I absolutely love that movie. But it's like, it's like a perfect storybook. I'm sure he's had his trials and tribulations, as we all have, but I think his story is awesome as hell. I got to tell you, I laughed out loud when he was talking about using the word lover in a song. It's so funny, because it is a word that's used a lot in songs, lover. Mm-hmm. But I would feel so weird saying, oh, this is my lover. It's almost like baby too. I always put baby in songs, but I don't really say baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so funny to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, lover's a weird one. If I were to use lover, and I never have, it would only be in a song.
Right. Yeah, I think about Bright Eyes has a song, Lover I Don't Have to Love. That's one of the songs I think. But it is like kind of common in songs to use that word. It made me laugh. I was laughing out loud. I mean, I was smiling through this whole thing. One of the things he was talking about, Chris, I don't know, you probably have experienced this. John was talking about it. I've never been in a position where someone from a record label I was on was putting their 2 cents in on the actual songwriting. Mm-hmm. Now, on the strategy or like what song's going to be the single or whatever other things, like the business side, yes, but I've never had someone from a record label put their opinion in on the actual writing of the song. Have you experienced that before?
Oh yeah, for sure. Old A&R guy, he would be in there and he'd be arguing this bridge part doesn't fit the song, and then you'd have the producer looking over, and sometimes the producer would like give you a wink, like just wait till he leaves, let's get him out of here, and then we'll figure it out. So yeah, it's definitely happened, but at the end of the day, typically the right part always prevails. Whatever it's meant to be, the producer, the band, everyone will figure it out and come to some consensus. But I got to tell you, John mentioned that this song only took like 20 minutes to write. It's like stream of consciousness. It was really quick, which we've heard that a lot on this show. Your huge hit is written quickly, but the follow up to him writing, what he had to go through with the label, John Kolodner, people arguing about this isn't a hit solo in the song. I've never heard such terminology. And then to not only have it used with them, but then he's reading, Steve from Black Crow's book. He sees the same quote from John Kolodner, which was hilarious.
Hey, well, I really did, Chris, love this story about learning the song with the band for the first time, though. That he's like, I'm not even going to sing it until we have it down. They practice for a few hours. They have it down. And the story, how he told, like, everybody's laughing. And I feel like there's an episode we did before where they talk about how there's so much emotion that if it makes you laugh, that's a good thing. And he's like, this is just like a pop hit. Like they sounds like they kind of knew it. And how could you not know it if you were playing this song? And it even goes as far as to when he was talking about that moment. Oh, I'm so glad he talked about this and how he knew at that moment that this was a hit. Was that little, you called it a vocal hiccup, I'd call it like a little stutter. This is the story of a girl. That's the moment. Mm-hmm. That thing. You're always talking about the little hooks in the songs, Chris. For some reason, that little pause like makes the song. I can't even explain it. It doesn't even make sense. Something about the syncopation of the music and then that hiccup. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even have a chance to get to it, and he talked about it because he knew I was going to talk about it because it's just one of those things, and you don't know if that was by accident. Maybe he was made a mistake when he was doing that particular part of the song, or if it was intentional. In this case, you never know, and it worked out beautifully.
There has to be something about your natural songwriting instincts. Chris, a lot of times you're talking about, we've had so many guests who they were young songwriters when they were writing their song and they don't really know the ins and outs of songwriting yet and they're just going with their gut. There has to be something about that natural instinct, that gut, that appeals to the listener's natural instincts and their gut feeling or something. There's some sort of connection there, and it's kind of like magic.
Yeah, and definitely for this song, there was a magic there. John explicitly said, this is just verbatim what I was feeling, and it just came out. And, we as human beings, we're all unique, but at the same time, we're more the same than we are different. And if he was feeling those emotions and he was being completely honest and open about it, chances are someone else is going to feel that. And this song resonated with a lot of people. And speaking of resonating with a lot of people, Chris.
Oh, yeah? What about resonating with a lot of people?
Head on over to ChrisDeMakes.com. Our VIP program is called The Supporting Cast, where you get bonus episodes each week. Yes, more of Chris and I talking about, stuff related to the episode. We'll do countdowns. We'll do polls. We'll just do all kinds of fun stuff. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can get bonus episodes of The After Party. ChrisDeMakes.com. It's great, Chris. What can I say?
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with The After Party. We have an entire other podcast at ChrisDeMakes.com. And everyone, I'm not just saying this, it seems like everyone who comments to us about it says that they love it. And it helps us continue making this podcast. So, if you got enough money to give Chris and I a little $5 or $10 tip per month, it's like buying us a beer for making a podcast that you listen to. Then we will supply you with a bunch of extra episodes plus a giant back catalog of them.
Yep, I was going to say, you took the words out of my mouth, Chris. A giant back catalog of episodes. So sign up now. ChrisDeMakes.com. We'd appreciate it. And please give me a follow on Instagram at @LessThanChrisD. I would really like that. I want to thank this week's guest, John Hampson, for sitting in with us. And we'll see you next week.
Hey, everybody. Satan here. I know what you're thinking. Jesus Christ, Satan has a podcast now too? No, that's not it. But I am here to tell you about a podcast, and it's one that's all about my favorite band, Punchline. Not the band you expected me to say, right? You probably figured I'd like Slayer, or maybe some backwards Beatles records or something. Those are okay, but you usually find me rocking out to fan-favorite Punchline albums like Action or Lion while I'm torturing dead people for all of eternity. Punchline's podcast is called A Band Called Punchline, and it's super entertaining to listen to this documentary-style look back at the 25 years of my favorite band. Honestly, I'm really feeling like I'm getting to know these guys, and their story is amazing. I'm so ready for them to get down here. I have so many questions. I gotta give them credit for catching on to my whole 37 thing, too. There's a reason why they're my favorite band, and if you listen to their podcast, they might become yours, too. A Band Called Punchline is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Check it out, and I'll see you all in hell.
Doug.
Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Ah, the sounds of an Etsy holiday. Now that's special. Want to hear it again? Get original and affordable gifts from small shops on Etsy. For gifts that say, I get you. Shop Etsy. Tap the banner to shop now.